So this actually looks pretty good. I have an object here. I no longer need this. Let's clean this up a little bit. So I'm reducing a CSV file into a single object that has some keys. These keys are our series name. You could, like instead of doing that, we could probably write this maybe do this in another way. And like think about this. Like this really just gives us a way we can do this without having to like look it up. So if we had it in an array, we could filter the array down, find where in the array that existed, and use that instead. So like our accumulator would be the array, and then every time we'd have to find that series, which we're doing here by accessing it this way. And in a way, I really kind of like that. So we could do something like let's see. I think find would work. So instead of an object, I am going to use an array. And up here, I can just do the same thing. So I'm going to take that, and we're not going to return an object anymore because we want to use an array. And now instead of looking this up this way, like we can, so the accumulator, and that's going to spread over yeah, you know what? I don't like that at all. I'm gonna back out of that. It's just easier for me if I do it with an object, because then I can look it up and I don't have to do any weird stuff to get them out and make sure that I'm not creating multiple copies of that. And it's really relatively easy to get that object out for each series. And what I want to make is this graph over here. So this is just something I drew in my notebook. And this is just a way to look at this. Now that I've messed with the data a little bit, I've kind of decided on how I want to visualize this. And I just want to make a little histogram, and it's going to have a little green bar that's going to represent how many people finished the lesson, and then a red bar for how many people didn't finish the lesson. So this is going to be the complete starts finishes, and then the difference between those, like the how many people didn't finish out of the total. So that's basically starts minus completions is going to give us how many people dropped off or didn't finish that particular lesson. And then the entire sequence going through each lesson in order is going to tell us over time how many people dropped off, and we can kind of assume it's going to have a arc this way. And we should, with this information, with this data that we've set up, we should be able to get that. So the next step, instead of logging this out to the console, which is great to preview it, I want to write it out. So I'm going to say write to JSON from node. How to write, Stack Overflow, top answer. It probably works for us. Let's see, table push, and here we go. So we have an object. We just want to write it back. That's pretty easy. I can just grab this wholesale and come back over here, drop this in. We already have file system. We don't even need that. Grab this line, delete, come down here, and this is the real deal, folks. This is how we do it. Let's see. Series, drop off, JSON. And this is our drop off data. I don't even have a callback. We don't need that. Uh-oh. Well, I lied. So we'll just give it a little callback here. And we'll say done. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Stop that. Let's see what we got over here. Object. That isn't going to work. So what do we need to do? Drop off data is dot stringify. Bam. There we go. And I'm just going to say, look like that. It's probably because it's no daemons watching this folder, so it was probably every time this got written to, it would rerun. I don't know. And so we're just going to use node index.js, let that run, check in here. We can use this to, let's see, format document. Bam, there we go. So each of our courses is going to be listed in here. And in each one, we have a lessons array with all of our lessons, the position. Hopefully those worked out and they're sorted. We can always sort them again. But now what I have is a nice data file that contains the data that I need to create my visualization. Something we're not really using here is the total starts and total completions for the course. We might be able to put that in. It doesn't really fit in here, and honestly, this is interesting data. It's not uninteresting data, but it doesn't really fit into this chart. You could probably have like a line graph of some sort that mapped map that. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It isn't going to be relevant for us. But what we are left with is this data here, and my thought was to just take that and go to Code Sandbox, and I like React, so just kind of fire that up inside of a React container, inside of our source folder. I can say dropoff.json, right? And paste that in. And what we end up with is data that we can use directly inside of our new Code Sandbox. So I'm going to call this egghead course dropoff. There we go. Save that.